Hello, Mr. Reinking's second grade students. How are you today?
Good.
Today, I'm going to talk about habits. Um, there are good habits and there are bad habits. You know, there are people who do bad habits like picking their nose, smoking, people who drink a lot. Those aren't the kinds of habits that I want to talk about. I want to talk about good habits. Good habits are things that you and I practice doing that we want to get better at. A habit can be maybe you're good at hitting a baseball. So you work on that and you work on that and you work on that. One thing that they found about a habit though is if you want to really start a good habit, you've got to practice it for 21 days. So you've got to practice it for like a month. Let me give you an example. We're in the new year, and for adults like me, every single year they have what's called a New Year's resolution, where they want to lose weight. And so instead of eating pizza and 3 bowls of ice cream after dinner, or, gooey caramel covered, I don't know, meatballs or something, they decide that in order to lose weight, they have to form a different habit because the habit that they're doing now just causes them to plump up and be fat. So, in order to change that, they have to develop a new habit. I've tried that several times, so here's what I've decided to do. Instead of eating, I love hot dogs. Instead of eating hot dogs every other meal, I've got to decide that I'm going to eat salads. And I know that if I start eating salads, I've got to eat salads for 21 days. I've got to start a habit, and I've got to keep that habit going long enough that I just naturally do that. So that's habits. Each of you, I want you to think about something that would be a good habit. Something that you could do that if you do it, it would make your life better. It would be something that you would enjoy doing, and it's something that would work out well for you. Second thing I want to talk about, though, is habits and talents. You know, each one of you sitting around here, you have a talent, something that you do well. Now, it's funny, when you're in elementary school, maybe you haven't decided on really what you're going to do well for the rest of your life. For instance, how many of you think you sing well? Okay. How many of you throw a baseball well or that kind of thing? How many of you think you dance well? Okay, so those things are talents. Talents are things that I believe, for the most part, we're born with, and talents are things that we discover along the way. When I was your age, I found out that through singing in church, I found out that I had a pretty good singing voice. And then after elementary school, I was in plays and musicals, so I got to sing more and more. And I found out that I had a talent, and I kept working at that talent just like you work at a habit. And I practiced singing until I got better and better and better. Now, I don't sing professionally now, but I sing a lot of the time. As a matter of fact, if you ever are driving down the highway and I'm headed back toward Kenosha, I'm the crazy person in the car singing at the top of his lungs, bobbing his head up and down to the music that's playing. Because music is a talent that I have that I've formed into a habit because I love singing, and I love singing all the time. So, a habit is something good that you want to practice over and over and over again, that you want to do for at least 21 days. Some habits are tied to talents. And when you're young, the trick is to find out what your talent is. If it's singing, get around other people. I'll share a story with you. My youngest son, Daniel, when he was like 7 years old, he started singing, But his brother Tom, who was like 2 years older, would say in front of Daniel with me there, would say, "Oh, Dad, please tell Daniel to stop singing. He's so bad at it." And his mother and I would say, "No, we believe that Daniel has a habit, and so we're going to encourage Daniel to sing." Well, shortly after that, Daniel started getting guitar lessons. So he worked at that. And I began noticing Daniel singing more and more around the house while playing his guitar. And over time, I noticed that Daniel's voice got better and better and better. And Tom said to me finally, "You know, Daniel sounds pretty good." I said, "No, Daniel sounds spectacular." And what happened was Daniel formed his own musical group. He made a CD. And while he was in college and things, he played at a place called The Rave in Milwaukee. So he played before large crowds. So even though his brother didn't think he had a talent, he worked at that talent until the talent became very good. When Daniel comes home, he grabs the guitar, sits at the piano, and he sings. And I have another son, Matt, who has the same talent, and we'll sit down and we'll sing and we'll play the instruments. They've taken the habit of working at being better musicians, they've combined it with their talent, and now, I gotta tell you, it's fun to sit around and listen to them sing. They sing much better than I do. So, discover a habit, something that you want to get better at. Make sure it's a good habit. And then, as you're young, like what your age is, figure out what you might be good at, and then spend a lot of time getting better at that. Who knows? Someday when you're old like Mr. Reinking and myself, it might be what you do to make a living. And that would be fun, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks a lot, class.
Yeah, and why could he